Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Jira Data Management, Strategies to Protect Your Cloud Data. Really excited that you all joined and that we can do this webinar together with Vish from Revyz. Thanks that you are here early morning in San Francisco. Thank you very much. So before we start with today's topic, we would like to introduce ourselves. I will talk a bit about Atlassian's approach to security and compliance in the cloud, talk about the upcoming features which are in the pipeline, which will be released this year. And then we hand over to Vish, who's telling us about Jira Data Management and the shared responsibility model. And after all that, we will answer your questions in the Q&A section. Maybe in between, let's see how we roll. Some housekeeping rules up front. So this webinar will be recorded and the recording will be made available afterwards. So you will get an email and it's available via YouTube as well. Microphones and the cameras are switched off, so we will not record you. Please ask your questions under the question tab. This way they are visible for all participants. We will collect the questions, and as mentioned, we will ask them probably in between or at the end in the Q&A section. And if we do surveys in the webinar, they will take place anonymously. Only the first name is displayed for a question. So, real quick introduction. My name is Jan. I'm one of the co-founders, consultant and CMO here at Jodocus. 15 years ago, I started as a classic project and process manager, not knowing anything about Jira and Confluence or the Atlassian tools, nor the agility. And then over the next few steps at Good Game Studios and new work, I worked quite a lot with the Atlassian tools and became a consultant at Code-Centric. And 4 years ago, I founded Jodocus, where I talk about it a little bit in the next minute. But first, I would like to, Saskia, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Saskia. I support Jan in marketing. I'm a business psychologist. And before I started working at Jodocus when was it, summer 2021, I think, I was head of marketing of a sanitary online shop. And after that, I was responsible for the customer journey of an e-bike sharing system. In between, I also worked as a mentor in communication management and psychology. And today I will take care of your questions.
Thank you. So who is Jodocus? Jodocus was founded in 2019 in Riesenbeck, a really important city to know. Small city near the Netherlands border here in Germany. We started as a cloud-first solution partner. So 4 years ago, we knew that the Atlassian cloud will be the go-to solution for small, mid, and enterprise customers. And that's why we founded Jodocus. We really believed in the Atlassian cloud strategy. Since that, we became a platinum solution partner and a cloud specialized partner. Highest levels you can achieve at Atlassian. We're more than 51 employees right now, growing really fast. I actually don't know how many people joined in the last few weeks. It's amazing to see how we grow. And we have over 30 partners we work with, and one of them is Revyz. And I think it's really, really important to have those partnerships, to talk about the different use cases out there, what is possible with the Atlassian cloud, and also to show to our customers what we are capable of. So I'm really happy, Vish, that you are here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Jan and Saskia, for inviting me for this session today. My background, as shown in the slide, I've been an electrical engineer by trade. Worked at computer companies designing chips. I also have been working in the cybersecurity space. I used to lead a product team for threat intelligence. I live in San Francisco, and here I am talking about Revyz today and data protection.
Who is Revyz?
Just a quick snapshot on Revyz. We are focused on enterprise data management. We've started last year in 2022. We are backed by Atlassian. Our team is spread across 4 continents, North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. And our business is SOC 2 certified. And in the Atlassian marketplace, our app is cloud fortified. And of course, we are an Atlassian marketplace partner.
Cool.
Back to you.
Thank you very much. So before we start, I'd like to mention that all videos of the webinar series about security and compliance will be on YouTube. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell to get the information when new videos will come up. So yeah, there will be more in the future. Atlassian empowers more than 230,000 organizations around the world to do their best job. And earning and keeping their trust is at the heart of their effort. Moving to cloud starts with trust. And in cloud services, trust starts with security. But it doesn't end there. It also includes reliability, privacy, and compliance with industry standards and legal regulations. So to fully earn your trust, Atlassian is committed to these 4 principles. I'd like to walk you through them. So Atlassian follows extensive administrative, operational, and configuration practices to track and protect your information through a comprehensive set of security controls and practices. Their dedicated support team, which is around roughly 250 people, continuously improve development, security operations, and threat mitigation practices to detect and prevent new security threats. Organizations run mission-critical projects and operations on Atlassian products. And that's why Atlassian is committed to delivering products, applications, and networks that are stable and secure at scale. Atlassian products are built on the best-in-class technologies, and their business continuity, business recovery, and data backup program ensures the impact on customers is minimized, one topic we will talk about today. Atlassian products regularly undergo independent third-party audits and certifications. I will walk you through some of them, some of the next slides, which is SOC 2, the ISO certificates, and PCI DSS. Additionally, Atlassian service providers undergo regular SOC 1, SOC 2, ISO audits to verify their practices as well, which is AWS, NTT, and so on. And your data is Atlassian's responsibility. And they're committed to protect it from unauthorized access and supporting your organization in meeting data privacy obligations. They provide information and governance control to help you make the right decision for your organization. Additionally, they invest heavily into GDPR, Privacy Shield, and safeguards to keep your data private and in your control. Since this series is about security and compliance, I'd like to talk about more about these two and how Atlassian approaches them. So security isn't a destination, right? It's an ongoing, never-ending journey. Atlassian develops software using agile development processes, and they apply the same approach to security. Just as this enables them to rapidly develop and update their software to meet customers' evolving needs, it also allows them to quickly target and fix newly discovered security vulnerabilities. They also monitor each cloud service across all development, staging, and production environments, so they can immediately notify their developers of any security issues. And this allows them to fix most problems before they even occur in the live instances. And they also guard against common web application attacks like cross-site scripting, SQL injections, although not all controls are compatible with all products. Now, when a software is deployed, we need to Atlassian makes sure that the product itself is secure as well. And that includes encryption in transit and at rest. So everything, all the communication between you and their cloud products are encrypted. Furthermore, they have internal and external testings to track down, prevent, and patch product vulnerabilities. They utilize industry-leading vulnerability scanners, container scanning software, and static code scanners to identify security bugs and vulnerabilities in their services and products. And one of their external programs is their bug bounty program. Helps them to find and correct any errors in their software by incentivizing a large crowd of competing good guys, let's say, bug hunters and hackers. So that's a really important thing. And also they do penetration testing, like white box testing, code assistance, and threat-based testings. Their software is running on hardware systems still. It's not in the cloud. And they have to secure that as well. And they heavily rely on AWS and NTT here, and limit the access to their data centers where customer data is hosted to authorized personnel only, using biometric measures for verification. They have security guards, camera monitoring, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, the network security. Atlassian implements control at each layer of the stack, running their infrastructure by zones, environments, and services. And they can control access to their sensitive networks through the use of virtual privacy clouds in AWS, routing firewall rules, and so on and so forth. Atlassian adhere to widely accepted compliance standards and regulations, as mentioned. Their service organization control reports, which are certified by third parties, describe how they comply with common controls and objectives. So these reports deal for you and your auditors how the controls they've established support operations and compliance at Atlassian. And here we mentioned some of the important external compliance and certifications. One of them is ISO. The basis of all these certifications is the development and implementation of a security management program, including the development and implementation of an information security management system, short ISMS. This is widely recognized and widely respected international security standard, specifies that companies that attain certificates also systematically evaluate their information security risks, taking into account the impact of security threats and vulnerabilities, design and implement a comprehensive suite of information security controls to address security risks, and implement an overarching audit and compliance management process to ensure that controls meet their needs on an ongoing basis. SOC 2 is an auditing procedure that ensures service providers securely manage your data to protect the interests of your organization and the privacy of all its clients. So for security-conscious businesses, SOC 2 compliance is a minimal requirement when considering a SaaS provider. And it is developed by the American Institute of CPAs. And SOC 2 defines criteria for managing customer data based on, let's say, 5 trust service principles, which is security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality.
Okay, I think Jan is gone, but he will be back soon. Yeah, I think the internet connection, because of the weather in Germany, is quite it's quite a thing right now.
No worries.
Maybe Vish.
While Jan comes back in, I think Jan was talking about the security which Atlassian provides. I think where I'll be picking up is to talk about what the shared responsibility model is, wherein Atlassian provides certain amount of security for all their application and infrastructure, and then there are certain responsibilities for you as the user or the customer using the Atlassian application. That's what we're going to be going through. And in addition to that, I will quickly run you through a demo of our app, the Revyz Data Manager for Jira. I think Jan is going to be joining in just a minute. There he is. I can see him coming back in.
Perfect. This is the first, actually.
Yeah, there he is.
So,
Hey,
hello
you're back.
again. So, sorry for
Doesn't matter.
doing that. That was interesting. Okay. I'm back at it again. So yeah, I was talking about compliance measures Atlassian is following and the certificates. And so, yeah, again, SOC 2 is something which defines criteria for managing customer data based on 5 trust service principles, which is security, availability, processing, integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. Cloud Security Alliance is a free, publicly accessible registry that documents the security controls provided by various cloud computing offerings, and thereby helping customers assess the security of cloud providers they currently use or considering to contract with. And last but not least, when you are from the finance industry, you probably are familiar with PCI DSS. I've worked 5 years for PCI DSS, and it's a payment card industry standard introduced by Visa and MasterCard mainly, also DFS and JB International and American Express. And they really control the security of an application, how you can access the data, like really physical access the data. So yeah, but that's not all, and there's even more you can find out. So when you go to atlassian.com/trust, you will find all the information about security, privacy, compliance, and what Atlassian is doing. Some of the security and compliance features which are now on the roadmap are bring your own key. One thing Atlassian customers, especially enterprise customers, are really looking forward and need those features to encrypt the data which is stored on Atlassian servers. So there's an early access program starting, I think, for Jira this quarter. For Confluence, it will come a little bit later. So the only thing you need is an AWS KMS key, and then you can encrypt all your data in the cloud so that only you can read that. 2 more compliance certificates coming up, which is FedRAMP and HIPAA, especially HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, known as HIPAA, as a set of regulation standards that specify the lawful disclosure and use of protected health information. So HIPAA is a mandatory standard for the health industry, especially in the United States. It applies to hospitals and other healthcare institutions and their service providers who have access to these protected health information. SSO for Jira Service Management customer accounts. Not everyone in the company has an Active Directory account or can use those things, especially your externals when you want to have them in an identity provider. Atlassian will have a single sign-on solution for that. Improved data residency. Not only German companies are eager to store the data in Germany, also Japanese companies. So Atlassian is drastically improving the data residency program. So you can store your data where you would like to store it. External user 2-factor authentication. Right now you can introduce externals to your cloud instance, and when you have the company corporate policy that everyone needs to use 2-factor authentication, that also now applies to external users, and even more enhance the security of your cloud infrastructure. And last but not least, there will be a new backup and Restore API to be more flexible, to download the stuff you have in cloud and to be able to restore that. So all of this is just the tip of the iceberg, as mentioned. Go to Atlassian.com/trust and /roadmap. You will find all the information. The Atlassian Cloud's infrastructure can be extended with apps to even more secure your instance and meet regulatory requirements. And Vish, that's why we have you here on the webinar. Enough for me talking. Atlassian provides backup and restore APIs, but not all restore and disaster recovery scenarios are fully covered, right? Can you walk us through the shared responsibility model?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jan, for that introduction. Let me share my screen now, and we will jump right into the shared responsibility model and a demo into the Revyz Data Manager for Jira, which also does backup and restore. All right, with that, let me share my screen.
I will disable my screen sharing. So,
okay. Interesting. 1 second. For some reason, it does not show full screen. Let's see this out here. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to be talking about the shared responsibility model to start off with. As Jan was talking about, Atlassian has very robust security practices, but there are still some responsibilities which you have as a customer. Your responsibilities essentially come down to 4 things. You're responsible for making sure that the Atlassian platform is suitable for running your application, essentially making sure that you have checked out all the different compliances they have. As Jan walked you through, Atlassian has got multiple different compliances, and you want to make sure that those are what you're looking for, and your application is suitable for use of the applications which Atlassian provides. Second, very important, you're responsible for the users who access those applications. You're the one who authorizes those users to access, whether it is Jira or Confluence, and then ensuring that the devices which are accessing those applications are well protected. They have good security hygiene in place. Third point is you're responsible for the data. Now, what does that mean? What that means is when you put in data within the Atlassian platform, if there is something which goes wrong with the Atlassian infrastructure, that is where Atlassian becomes responsible. They have an extensive infrastructure backup and restore operation already in place. If the issue is with regards to their infrastructure, they will absolutely protect the data, restore the data, and so on and so forth. But if the accident, the data loss occurred due to something which you did by accident, then you are responsible for it. That is where Atlassian comes and tells you, as part of their shared responsibility, that you should back up your data, you should have a copy of your data, so on and so forth. And then the last part, which is with regards to marketplace applications. There are a lot of marketplace applications available. So what Atlassian recommends is to assess the suitability of those marketplace applications for your needs, and make that assessment by yourself, and notify Atlassian if you see any application behaving maliciously. All right, with that said, let's maybe jump into what types of disasters which could occur, and who's responsible for those different types of disasters which you may see. What this chart is showing you is what is the probability of the different types of disasters. The right side being higher higher probability with these different types of incidents, and the left being lower probability. The most frequent errors which we typically see are human errors. Somebody goes and fat fingers and deletes the data, or does something by accident. When you import data in, you have the chance of that data being overwritten or corrupted. There are also scenarios wherein you have the case of insiders coming in misbehaving. So malicious deletions. Malicious deletions could take two forms: insider attacks, or external actors taking over accounts and doing something bad to your application and the data within that application. And then, of course, third-party applications. If you're using third-party applications, sometimes they may misbehave and they may corrupt the data which you have in your primary application. So these are areas where the customer is typically responsible for their data. And then when it comes to infrastructure related disasters, be it a data breach or a disaster within the data center itself, that is where the SaaS vendor, in this case Atlassian, becomes responsible for managing or recovering your data back. Now, let's get into more specifics, right? What are the different scenarios, and potentially what are the different strategies which you can apply? If you look at the gaps for data protection within Jira, if you delete an issue, a comment, an attachment, those pieces of information are deleted instantaneously, which means they are deleted pretty much the moment you press the delete key. On the other hand, if you are deleting an entire project, the entire project goes and sits in the recycle bin, and it is available to you for 60 days. After 60 days, it gets purged out and it is gone. It's not accessible. All the data associated with that project is gone forever. Now, one other thing which is very critical to note is when you delete something, especially an issue or an attachment, there is no logging of who deleted it and when it was deleted, especially when it comes to an issue. If you delete a comment, if you've given the permissions for a user to go delete comments and attachments, you will know when that was deleted, but of course you can't retrieve that information back. The second area where you got to sort of think through is with regards to bulk changes. This is where you may accidentally make a bulk change, which is you have the information in the system, but reverting back that bulk change, depending on how many issues you touched, could be very cumbersome. When you make changes with regards to configuration, if you delete any configuration object, those things are gone instantaneously. Those are not available to you. As an example, if you by accident deleted a workflow, you've probably spent a lot of time creating a new workflow, and if you deleted that, it is gone instantaneously. And we talked about account takeovers. As you know, today in today's security and threat landscape, ransomware type of incidents are very prevalent. If for whatever reason, if there was an account takeover and that account which got taken over has the administrative type of permissions, then there could be a lot of damage which could be done to your application. And lastly, insider attacks. Again, depending on who has what permissions, that could create another vector for data loss in your environment. So with that in mind, what are the different strategies somebody can put in place to address these different gaps which are there? Obviously, do nothing is a strategy, and of course, it has the highest amount of risk. The second option which you have is putting in place access management controls, wherein you only provide access to to what is needed for that particular persona or the user. You do not provide full access to everybody. You lock your system down. But still, even if you do that, there are still gaps, as we talked about in the previous slide. Third option is exporting your data every so often, CSV exports. That is something which you can do, but again, that is something which you have to build in. It's a manual process. As Jan was mentioning earlier, Atlassian does provide a mechanism to export your database, a full XML backup. They are going to be releasing new APIs to make that process more robust. But still, there are pros and cons with the database export, but that is a strategy which you should employ. And lastly, we will be talking about what Revyz has built, which is using a backup as a service. A quick slide. I'm not going to go into detail in this. I've talked through some of the things as part of the previous slide, wherein what are the pros and cons for these various different strategies which you could employ. We will be focusing more on the backup as a service part, and I will get right into the product demo next. Just a quick overview of what the Revyz Data Manager for Jira does. It does 4 things. Beyond just backup and restore, there are other use cases which the app helps address. It helps you manage your data, especially if you're at the Jira Premium tier. You get a sandbox site and a production site. And what the Revyz Data Manager helps you do is helps you move data being configuration as well as issues between the 2 sites, your sandbox site as well as production. Typically most Jira Premium customers go use the sandbox to develop new workflows, test things out, and then they replicate the same information back into the production environment. And of course, that process is manual today. And this is where the Jira Data Manager for Jira helps you in automating the process. Second, as we talked about backup and restore, the app provides automatic daily backups and granular data restores. Granular data restore is very key, which is, as we discussed earlier, you typically don't go delete. If you fat-fingered, you deleted 1 or 10 issues, whatever the case may be, you want to recover exactly those 10 issues back. You probably don't want to roll back your database to a previous snapshot, which could lead to a lot of disruption for your operations. The app also provides analytics, which are focused towards the Jira administrator. It tells you how many, as an example, since we're talking about data deletion, gives you statistics on when, who deleted issues, provides you Jira configuration analytics, and a lot more in terms of analytics is that. We will get into that in the demo. And lastly, helps you optimize your site, meaning you can go remove unused configuration, remove the clutter, and make your Jira site more simpler and performant. So with that, I will get right into the demo. Let me go into our app. Okay. The app is available in the marketplace. It is just like installing any other Atlassian app. Once you install the app, what you will see is it will take you through the settings screen. I'm going to very quickly walk you through the various screens. Backup is automatically scheduled for every 24 hours. We store the data for a period of 1 year. Now, the data storage region is very key. We automatically pick the data region which is appropriate for you. Today, we support 3 data regions. US, Frankfurt in Germany, and Sydney in Australia. The way this works is we essentially look at where your Atlassian data is stored, and Atlassian tells us back which region you're located in. If your data is pinned to Europe, then we store your backup data gets automatically pushed to AWS Frankfurt. If your data is stored in the US, then it gets pushed to US East, AWS US East. And if it is in Australia or New Zealand, then you go to Sydney. One of the things which I forgot to mention is we are also built on AWS, just like Atlassian. And so making the determination where to go becomes much more simpler for us. And lastly, in the cloud roadmap, Atlassian will be supporting more data regions. I think there is Canada, London, and Japan in the roadmap. As and when those regions get enabled by Atlassian, we will be adding in support for those regions as well. We also support JSM asset backup. So there's a initial setup which you have to do with regards to providing an Atlassian token. That's what you see out here on the screen. And of course, not recommended, but if you want to, if you do not want to back up all your projects, then you do have an option. You can come in out here and unselect a specific project which you do not want to back up. By default, any new project which is created by you gets automatically backed up.
I have to interrupt. I'm so sorry, but there's a question, and I think it fits perfectly in here. Is there any limit in terms of storage?
Great question, Danny. So let me go to the backup screen, and you can actually see that. So what we do is we count attachments. We do not count the number of issues and number of versions of those issues. So storage, what we recommend is, again, this is a soft limit. We limit it at, we are saying, look, this will start showing a red color once you exceed 250 gigabytes. But we do not stop you from backing up. At least it's a soft limit. If you exceed that, we will have a conversation with you and see how we could manage that storage, because from our perspective, given the business we are in, we pay for storage costs. Now, one other question which sort of goes along with this is, given that we are backup and restore, what is your business model? Unfortunately, we are based on users, because any app which is sold through the Atlassian marketplace, the licensing is users, not storage. But having said that, there are multiple other functionalities which we have in the app, which sort of lends us towards that user-based model. Hopefully, I answered your question. Now, getting back into the screen, as you can see, once the backups are started, we give you a report of how backups have been running. Now, not only do we have automatic backups, but you can also come in and manually initiate a backup. So, for example, if you have made a change to your configuration, you can come in out here, give a tag, and do a manual backup. It tells you you can select what you want to back up. You can back up issues only if you wanted to do that, or configuration gives you a list of all the different types of objects within Jira that you can that you will be backing up. Now, one of the things which happens once you hit a backup, once you initiate a backup, is we provide you detailed logging. Again, our background and our focus is enterprise. Which means we provide you a lot of the features which an enterprise customer is looking for. Let me go into one of the logging reports out here. Gives you a listing of all the different projects which have been backed up, number of issues, how long it took. Now, one of the things to note is we do incremental backups, meaning your first backup is a complete backup, and subsequent backups are only changes which are coming in. Now, why is that important? It is important because if you're doing a full backup every day, it's going to take a lot of time. It also would need a lot of storage. for example, if you're running your backup for a year, that means you'll have 365 copies of your data. If your data set size is, let's say, 100 gigabytes, that means every day you have 100 gigabytes of data which you're storing up. So a lot of storage costs and so on and so forth. What we end up doing is we take the first snapshot, which is a full snapshot, and then we start building things incrementally. Now, this is where our magic comes in, wherein when you want to restore something back, what you see is it looks like a full backup on any given day, because we take that incremental data and incrementally merge it with what we did from the first backup. So that's why you see out here in this example, when the last backup which was run, there were only 6 issues which were updated, and that's why it took only 11 seconds to pull those 6 issues in. There were 8 attachments, 2.4 megabytes in size. We were able to get that very quickly. So incremental backups occur very quickly, so things go really fast. In addition to that, more detailed logging on if there are any errors. Typically, sometimes we do see intermittent API-related errors, which get logged in out here. In the interest of time, I'm going to go a little bit faster. Restore, again, as I mentioned earlier, what our app provides is granular restore. So let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, I want to go in and pick a certain issue which was deleted. I can go in and pick a date. As you can see, there's a history. There's a long list of dates for when backup was run. It runs every 24 hours. But if you have run a backup manually, you can see there's a tag which is put in because that was added in manually. So let me go pick that particular date. This is going back to February 3rd, almost a month, almost 2 months ago. I go and pick a project, and then you can come in and select the type of issue which was deleted. Let's pick stories. I go into the restore preview screen. Again, very similar to what you're used to in your Jira console. The look and feel is somewhat similar. You can come in out here, pick the specific issues which you want to restore back, and you click on restore, and it'll automatically put those 2 issues back, or 3 issues back in this case. Or you can also download the data in JSON or CSV. Now, one other thing which I should have mentioned this as part of the settings which I was going through. If it is an epic, instead of picking story, let me just pick an epic. Let's go apply that filter. If I restore back an epic, let's say I want to restore back this particular epic, you can automatically pull all the subtasks or the children associated with that epic as part of that restore, right? So with one, let's say you deleted an epic with all the, let's say it had 100 stories underneath that. Now you don't have to go and restore back 100 stories plus that epic 101. You don't have to select all of them. With one, by selecting that epic, you can pull in all the children associated with it. Of course, they're part of our settings. Let me quickly go there. It gives you the option to restore back, associate the parent with the, if the parent exists, which means if you're restoring back children, the children will get automatically linked to the existing parent, or if you're restoring back children, you can associate it back to the parent automatically. So that's a setting which exists out there. Let me quickly go into insights, which might be pretty interesting for you. Here we quickly give you a viewpoint of how complex, or maybe not that complex, but typically what I've seen is Jira sites are pretty complex in terms of all the different things which are there. Again, same information, probably in a different view, tells you how many workflows you have, how many schemes you have. Again, this site probably much more simpler, but typically you see a lot of workflows, a lot of custom fields, and probably a lot of those things which are not being used. This is where you can come in and simplify your Jira site, and we'll briefly get into that. I'd mentioned to you about analytics on who's deleting something, when things were deleted. Once you come into this screen, you can see that. You can also see what is the change, what are the changes which are occurring, how fast are changes occurring. What this is showing you is how many issues were updated, how many new issues were created on any given day. Given that we do incremental backups, we can actually see how many things are changing, and that's what we are giving you a view for. I think the question which was earlier asked, do we limit you on storage? As I mentioned, it is only on attachments, and we're also providing you with tools so that not only are we saying, look, we have a soft limit, but we are providing you with tools to identify where where large attachments exist, and potentially you have an easy way to go and remove unwanted attachments. From what we have seen with a lot of our customers, we see a lot of videos getting attached to Jira tickets. It could be a Zoom video, a demo video like this getting attached. So at least gives you an easy view to go look through, sort through the attachments which are in your system, and potentially remove unwanted attachments. Again, you can sort through the attachments easily, see which are the ones which project has got the most amount of attachments, and so on and so forth. Lastly, on the analytics, again, this is something which is in beta, helps you understand how complex your Jira site could be, helps you draw out a graph, because as you know, within Jira, a lot of the different objects are very interconnected. For example, you can have a workflow which is being shared by other projects. Issue types, of course, are shared most of the time. Permissions are shared, so helps you explore in a graphical manner how things are interconnected. Again, this is in beta. We're exploring to see how we can better present this information. I talked about 4 things, which is moving data from one cloud site to another cloud site. I haven't touched that as from a demo perspective as of yet. We talked about backup and restore, analytics, and then we talked about optimization. With regards to optimization, you can come in out here. You can pick, which type of configuration information which you want to maybe remove. As an example here, you can see certain workflows are not being used because they are not associated with any scheme. You can quickly go in and identify them and delete them with a couple of clicks. One huge advantage which you have is, even if you delete something accidentally out here, maybe you selected the wrong thing and deleted it, you still have that information sitting in the backup. This check mark is telling you that the backup is that information is still available in the backup. You can get it back if you accidentally deleted it. Last part which I want to touch upon is this is where you can move data from one site to another site. I'll probably switch to a different Jira instance. Let me go back here. So same screen, you can come in out here. Here we have paired multiple different sites together. So you can pick which site you want to do a project clone. So essentially you're moving the project configuration information from one site to another site. You can again pick the time and project. I think the part which you might find very useful out here is you get control of what you want to move in a very granular manner to move from one site to another site. So imagine you've developed a workflow within your sandbox and maybe a couple of screens for a new project. You can come in out here and select what you want to do. You can come in and say, look, move the new screens which you have created, move only the workflows which have been created, and that's exactly what will be moved from your maybe move is the wrong word. I should say what will be cloned from your sandbox to your production site. So with that, I know I've rushed through a lot of information. I want to come back to this one slide, which talks about the 4 things which the Jira, the Revyz Data Manager for Jira does. Helps you manage your data, among different sites which you have access to, helps you protect the data, analyze the data, and optimize it. With that,
there's just another question coming in. Is the app SOC 2 compliant?
Yes, we are SOC 2 compliant and cloud fortified, given that we are storing information or data which is very critical to your business. We have gone through a rigorous audit process, and we are SOC 2 Type 2 compliant at this point of time.
And another question, if that's okay for you, because I just saw it. Do you have a backup and restore solution for Confluence?
Great question. So I've been talking about Data Manager for Jira. We do have Confluence on the roadmap. Probably later this year, we will be doing providing similar functionality for Confluence too, wherein you can manage your Confluence data, you can protect your Confluence data, look at analytics, and of course optimize your Confluence site.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Vish. In preparation for this webinar, we have this app installed too, and the last time I've used it was like half a year ago, and it's incredible to see how that app developed, and it's really a data manager, so it's really amazing. And I think it gives a Jira administrator a great overview of what is going on in the instance, and that was missing for a long time. So thank you very much for this app, and I'm really looking forward to see what you have on your roadmap for this app. It's really incredible.
Jan, thank you for the continued support. Jodocus has been super helpful in providing us feedback. As you said, you installed this app 6 months ago. You're one of the earlier users. Of course, you've seen how the app is transformed. And of course, if you're thinking of just backup and restore, I'm glad that you didn't have to go back and use the app because that means your data is safe. It gives you peace of mind. But having said that, the new functionality which you have introduced helps you do a lot more, not just backup and restore. Helps you do day-to-day activities, from an administration perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think there's one more feature you didn't show right now, which is also really crucial, which is the backup and restore of assets. So if there are any one of you out there looking for those features, maybe we do another webinar where we deep dive into, or you can show it right now.
Yes. I think, let me pick the right site, share this tab. There we go. So this site has assets here. So let me go to our backup section. There you go. Yes, maybe we'll just give a quick preview because assets has got its own complexity. Maybe it's a different webinar, but you can come in. Here are the different objects which we back up from an asset perspective: configuration, schemas, types, attributes, statuses, and objects, references, and comments. And again, same thing, granular restore of objects or configuration, asset configuration.
Really amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone joining. If you have any questions, you will receive an email with the recording of this video. Feel free to reach out either to Vish or to me. If you have any questions for your projects, for your cloud migrations, yeah. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.